Hello people of the internet, welcome to episode 53 of Paint to Life, the YouTube channel where I take tiny plastic miniatures, throw some acrylic paint on them, and breathe life into them with storytelling so you might learn something new on the subject or just take the story to make it your own. Wizards of the Coast is a company who currently owns the intellectual property of both Dungeons & Dragons and also the huge trading card game Magic the Gathering. Lately, Wizards has been cross-threading the universes of these two products, so tonight I'll be painting you and telling you the story of a miniature based not from the world of Dungeons & Dragons, no, but from one of the legendary creatures that inhabits the plane of Ravnica in Magic the Gathering. I'm GMA Tang, let's get painting. Okay, if you missed last week's episode where I collaborated with Raquel over at Rackrex Art, you can check it out at the end of the video about how two species of creatures evolved completely differently on the same tidally locked planet. You should check it out. Now, through my community tab, I know that most of you know what Magic the Gathering is, even if not all of you actively play it. It was the first real trading card game of its kind. It was released in August of 1993. I remember playing it with my friends in high school in between hot seat rounds of Master of Orion and Heroes of Might and Magic. At the time, it was the most money I had spent on anything in my short life thus far, although today... As I mentioned in the intro, the publisher of Magic the Gathering, Wizards of the Coast, acquired Dungeons & Dragons in 1997 and have just until recently began combining product lines in neat ways. D&D trademark items have begun making appearance into the Magic card game, cards such as Magic Missile and Bag of Holding for example. And additionally, the source book, Guildmaster's Guide to Ravnica, represents the first print book that uses lore, creatures, and races from the card game and converts them into Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition rule set. The world of Ravnica is an ecumenopolis, a vast city that covers the entire surface of its world and is home to a diverse assortment of sentient races, guilds, with various goals and interesting social dynamics and politics. Tonight's episode showcases another one of these crossovers. The Cyclops Borborygmos, the mightiest of the Gruul Guild, has his very own WizKids miniature taken from his likeness of the Magic the Gathering card Borborygmos. Geez, it takes a long time to figure out how to say this. The Gruul Guild is actually a collection of feuding warrior clans, members of which do not consider themselves under a single banner. Instead, they are forced to be reckoned with on any battlefield. Besides the clans, there are also solitary wandering trogs. These are fierce, independent warriors who travel the rubble belts as apex predators. Gruul clans are convinced that civilization is a stifling lie and that laws are an abomination against the natural order. All living things are children of the wild and must return to it so they can be true to themselves. Opposed to the whole idea of order and civility, Gruul warriors want to tell the rest of Ravnica to wake up and take your place in nature. The ultimate aim of the guild, its mission statement if you will, is to tear down the civilized city, both physically and mentally, and recreate a natural paradise of the plane. Borborygmos is an enormous Cyclops. He's the largest and angriest of a lot of the large and angry leaders of the Gruul clans. Although there is little official about the clan, he is often considered to be its guildmaster, as that simply, when he gives orders, the Gruul listen. The massive and powerful yet dim-witted Cyclops remains in power, commanding respect and obedience by defeating all challengers who dare stand in his way. Promising freedom from rigid civilizations, he carves out territory from abandoned cities, amassing an eager, unruly following along the way. He's led the Burning Tree clan for decades, the largest and most diverse of the Gruul clans. He embodies the raging fire that most Gruul believe are in their bellies, and his wrath towards the refinement of Ravnica knows no bounds. A Cyclops the size of some of Ravnica's tallest towers, Borborygmos has a bestial look, with a large, single auburn eye, wild mane of red hair, and two twisting horns. He only wears scraps of leather armor, with an improvised metal bracer on his left arm made of barbed wire, scaven shields, and bones. Sun is setting, and hundreds of Gruul are gathered in the Burning Tree clan territory at the Scrag, an improvised guild hall that used to be a palace of some long-forgotten culture. The Burning Tree clan is the most influential in the guild, and also the clan of Borborygmos. It's the fiercest clan, as well as the largest and most diverse. They excel at making sure that all Gruul remember who shun and look down on them and direct that rage towards civilization. They are often tattooed with the burning tree symbol. Therefore, most Ravnican populations consider this as the crest for the entire Gruul guild. Borborygmos is currently holding court over the Gruul's motley clans with his hallmark maul, made from the slab of ruined masonry entangled within tree roots that he uses as a handle. For over 4 decades, he has survived many challenges to his rule, including the one that just ended, the massive chunks of the pieces of the two-headed Etten still twitching about on the floor.
"We eat,"
he bellows in an uproar of elation, but yet one small yet strong voice emerges from the crowd.
"There is one more thing, O Great One."
Domri Rade was orphaned on the streets of Ravnica for as long as he could remember. He had always admired the Gruul, idolizing them for having the guts to stand up and fight back against the powers that he had to deal with every day in his youth. Today, the adolescent Domri Rade was looking to join the Burning Tree clan.
"I wish to join. I am Gruul."
As all other clans had already rejected him and were present at the Skarg, they all laughed. While admiring the tenacity, he was also rejected by Borborygmos, for he was too small and wiry, with barely the strength to lift a standard Gruul battle axe.
"You are too puny, boy. Brave, but puny."
"Thank you, Great One."
Rejected, but not dejected, he continued to strive to be what the Gruul wanted. Without a clan to call his own, he found companionship with the feral beasts that roamed the ruins that he called home. He developed an affinity for them, a first stirring of magic that he could claim as his own. The Gruul migrated on as they do, raiding an area, destroying it, and living there until the resources gleaned from the destruction would completely run out. Then it would be time to move on to a new area, leaving nothing but ruin in their wake. And not far behind in that ruin was Domri and his menagerie of creatures. One night, this habit would finally earn him his long-desired standing amongst the Gruul. The Orzhov Syndicate had pushed into the rubble belt, attempting to attack a weakened Gruul-backed line. Domri commanded a herd of rage beasts into driving them out, no small feat, and that drew the eye of Borborygmos himself.
"You protect many Gruul lives at your own pact family risk. Why you do this?"
"Gruul is my family, O Great One."
"It is so."
With 3 syllables, Borborygmos had made Domri an honorary member of the Burning Tree clan. Domri's life was normal amongst the clan, pretend fighting with his friends, further smashing the ruins of the rubble belt, and in general being a nuisance to everyone he encountered. But all that changed after he underwent the Gruul rite of passage. Domri began having dreams and started suffering from delusions of grandeur. Agile, youthful, and full of life, and even more powerful magic developing in his core. He realized that nature respected and followed him because he was destined to not just be a part of the Gruul, he was to lead them. Thus, Domri Rade challenged the aging Borborygmos for command. Despite his affinity for the young boy, a challenge levied turned the Cyclops into a raging berserker intent on pounding the child into jelly. However, Domri's magic surged and protected him, while waves of his wild beast ran into the fray, set upon the giant, and overwhelmed him.
"Alone you do not fight for challenge. Do you wish to lead, or do one of these animals lead for you?"
Domri stood upon the pinned Cyclops' chest, looking down into its one big, huge, beach ball-sized eye.
"Kill me already, end my dishonor."
"No, I will not kill you, for you are Gruul and useful to us."
As the Cyclops was not killed in battle, he lost not only his position as the Guildmaster, but, even more painfully to him, the respect of the Gruul. So he would diminish and live as a trog all alone in the rubber belt forevermore, or so he thought. In the coming years, during what was known as the War of the Spark, the elder dragon known as Niko Bola took dominion over all of Ravnica with his relentless army of Eternals. Domri Rade led the Gruul to the resistance, but when he saw Bolas invading and destroying the city, he recognized a common interest and joined Bolas's side. Fighting nearby, the aging Borborygmos, his wild red hair and beard now streaked with yellow and gray, yelled at the youth, commanding him to stay true to the Gruul ways.
"Domri, crush them!"
But he was ignored. Domri thought that he had found his path to ultimate victory, but when he was in the presence of the Elder Dragon, he came to a terrible realization that Bolas was the source of his own magical development, his desire to overthrow Borborygmos in the dreams that he had had. Bolas, who had zero interest in Domri's own goals, had used the child as a pawn, and then proceeded to fatally harvest the boy's spark as he withered away into a dry husk. Borborygmos enraged and finished the battle as the invaders were temporarily driven back. When the dust finally settled, he found himself surrounded by weakened but tenacious Gruul warriors who were all kneeling around his greatness. At that moment it was clear he was once again the Guildmaster of the Gruul. One of his first acts as a reinstated leader was to parley with an Orzhov Syndicate emissary come to negotiate territory in the Rubble Belt.
Not Gruul? Then die!
Borborygmos, enraged. Alright, so what did you think of my telling of the story of Borborygmos? I find it's harder to tell other people's stories than it is to tell my own. Here he is. I made his base to represent the dual colors and lands of the magic card, with the red mountains and the green forest on the right, and I put the card with his likeness on the base to complete the piece. Now this is not going to be going on the shelf. I'm going to be putting on display at my friendly local gaming store in St. Catharines, Phoenix Rising, so if you're a local, when the lockdown ends, head on to the store. You can stop in and see it yourself. While you're there, pick up some miniature paint, some brushes, and maybe one of the miniatures we've painted on Paint to Life, and give mini painting a try. Could be your new favorite hobby. More fun collaborations and projects are coming. Make sure to check the community tab on YouTube for your chance to vote on your favorite episodes for the From the Shelf episodes that I do in between Paint to Life episodes. That's all I have for you for tonight. I'm GMA Tank. Wash your hands, people. Well, that was supposed to be funny. I hope it was, because this is going to be a mess to clean up.